Yeah, ギャル男宣言。
俺ギャルを始めました BK 卒業パンツピタピタっていうか昨日も渋谷好きな食べ物はシーザーサラダガングロメッシュにガラコンレンズパラパラダンスの猛練習パラダイスに陶酔表現中ギャル男ステイチューン金じゃら銀じゃら銀ギラ銀マルキューセールは仁義なし全身バリバリやっぱり B3CALO キノコ食べましたトランス聞きました調子上がってきたみんなが大好きだ
Pop quiz time! Now this question should be easy for everybody who's seen the majority of my other episodes. What is the one thing I complain about the most when I talk about anime?
Monster of the Day plot devices.
Monster of the Day styled episodes.
The Monster of the Day routine.
Monster of the episode show ad nauseum.
Monster of the Day to
Monster of the Day shit.
That's right, Monster of the Day style plots. I mean, come on, guys. Can you get any more unoriginal? A Monster of the Day plot doesn't necessarily have to be about monsters. Rather, it's a blanket term for the plot of an individual episode of a series that you can basically skip over, because it has no effect on the plot of the series as a whole work. At the end of the episode, the characters in the story are in the exact same position as they were in the beginning, having gone into a gigantic status quo keeping loop. A Monster of the Day plot is the lowest rung on the creative ladder, a cheap trick writers fall back on when they're spinning their wheels and trying to pad out their show to fit a regular season size. And you know what the worst part is? Fucking everybody does it! Even shows I like still dabbled in Monster of the Day plots. Okay, I know, the main argument for their limited use in these shows is that they set up a status quo, so that it can later be broken to add dramatic weight to the later episodes when shit really starts to pick up. But what does it say about us as an audience that we depend so heavily on the creation of a normal setting for a show just so that it can be contrasted with the perceived novelty of the more plot-central episodes later on? And I'm sure this rant on shitty episodic content won't play at all in today's episode. Will it? Argento Soma was released in October 2000, was part of a short-lived initiative by Sunrise to loosely remake works of classical literature into anime, with the key word being loosely. Argento Soma is meant to be a modern reinterpretation of the original Frankenstein novel, but there really is no relation towards the original plot other than naming the local monster Frank. Sunrise pulled the plug on the project after Argento Soma's massive commercial and critical flop. The first thing you'll notice when turning on Argento Soma is that it's got terrible artwork. Sunrise isn't a bad company, it's done some very high quality works and has worked around budget limitations well. Maybe Argento Soma was a lower tier title or they just didn't care, but they really dropped the ball here. The mecha and monster designs are terrible, they're just kind of samey and generic, but the characters are where the real badness comes in. Where the hell are their noses? Jesus Christ, it looks like they forgot to finish the fucking drawing! But before you can even get used to the art, you'll hear the Discordian mess that is Argento Soma's musical score. Let's listen to the opening theme. My eyes and my ears can't possibly believe they're both experiencing the same full package right now. The music is just too somber for the picture. As another example, here's a pivotal scene at the beginning of the show where the main character loses his girlfriend in an accident.
Maki. Maki.
I'm not sure if those jagged harmonica riffs are setting the right tone here. Listen, Sunrise, I know what you're trying to do. That aloof sort of music during high-tension scenes really worked for you in Cowboy Bebop, but it's just not happening here. And making your principal musician a hillbilly isn't helping. Plot-wise, Argento Soma is nothing to write home about. Takuto, a university student, is recruited by his on-again, off-again girlfriend Maki to work on a top-secret project that involves finding dead alien parts and assembling them into a giant robot, which the local mad scientist decides to name Frank. Apparently, when he was getting his doctorate, he didn't take Introduction to Subtlety. The whole thing is taking place at a secret government facility called Morgue, or Morgue, and the aforementioned disaster happens when Frank wakes up and destroys the building, leaving Takuto horribly disfigured and killing everybody else. While in the hospital, Takuto strikes a deal with the enigmatic Mr. X to change his name to Ryu and to have him join Funeral, another top-secret organization that protects the world from invading aliens, also that he can get close to and kill Frank, which had been transferred to Funeral after the accident.
I've seen some pretty shitty names for Japanese organizations in my time, but really, Morgue, Funeral, what's next? The Graveyard? SFO.
After this, the show turns into a formulaic slog where a new alien invades every episode, and the team has to find some new Deus Ex Machina in order to stop them. They also like to tie each generic alien invasion story in with a generic character episode as well, focusing on one of the members of Ryu's team for a little bit, but it's all really bland. The series really has no tone whatsoever, it's just mech battles for the sake of mech battles with no real additional content. The team themselves are based in the United States and are quite international. Ryu fills the anime quota of at least one person of Japanese descent on the team, Mike serves as the captain of the team, and the writers wisely decided to leave out any mention of his race in the show. I doubt they even have the talent to say the word black without sounding terrible. Guinevere only exists to take off the weird anime hair color box. Sue appears to be another African American with a quirky fashion sense and supplies the show with zaniness, but at the end of the show you see that she's actually white and her makeup was Ganguro. I've got two problems with this. One is the same point I made in F-Zero and Tekken. Isn't it just great when anime shows a woman that willingly strips herself of all personality after marrying and becoming a mother? Secondly, do the Japanese actually think Ganguro fashion is popular over here? That doesn't count! Finally, Lieutenant Dan, not that one, is a hot-headed Brit, or at least the closest this American actor can get to a British accent. Wait, is that Crispin Freeman?
This is where the reconnaissance squad lost him. 0521.
It is! Crispin, buddy, you really need the paycheck, didn't you? The aliens themselves will come to Earth looking completely identical, probably to save the animation budget, but with completely different powers. Funeral determined sometime before the show began that each alien, after touching down on Earth, beelines for one specific spot now named Pilgrimage Point. Funeral's job is to stop the aliens from getting there. And do you want to know the real kicker? They have absolutely no information. They don't know why the aliens are coming, why they try to go to Pilgrimage Point, or what the reason is for stopping them. And it's not like this information is classified, like it's not on a need-to-know basis. The show establishes that absolutely no one in the entire chain of command knows what the fuck is going on, and they're stopping the aliens just because. They don't even think it's prudent to investigate Pilgrimage Point until 2/3 of the way through the goddamn show. In addition, when the main characters do finally grow a brain and visit Pilgrimage Point, want to know what they find? At the exact spot where all the aliens' trajectories intersect is an abandoned house within the evacuated zone that was once owned by the first human astronaut to ever leave the solar system and the first one to ever be lost in deep space. Gee, you didn't think that tidbit was fucking important? The answer to over 30 years of interstellar invasion is literally sitting there waiting to be discovered, and none of you idiots even thought to check it out until now! It turns out that some sort of Star Trek techno-babble phenomenon abducted the astronaut, imbued his consciousness inside of Frank, and that all the invading aliens are echoes of his soul trying to return home or some shit. It never really makes a lot of sense, and because the setup is so sloppy, it never really has the emotional impact you can see that they were trying so desperately to achieve. Mr. X is also revealed to be this astronaut's best friend, and his behind-the-scenes manipulation was all to bring his friend back to Earth. That's All well and good, but then why in the holy hell is he able to warp around? At the beginning of the series, Mr. X literally teleports in and out of Ryu's hospital room to offer him the deal and appears in places he shouldn't be able to get to from then on. That, combined with the Apple motif, the deal with the devil feel of the character's interactions with Ryu, and his manner of speech make him seem to be a supernatural element. But when it's revealed he's actually some flesh and blood retired general, that leaves the giant gaping plot hole regarding his time and space bending tendencies. Okay, listen Argento Soma, I know you went to set this guy up as a force of mystery in the series, but eventually you have to actually explain what the fuck is going on. Hanging out among all this is a 12-year-old girl named Harriet living in the mountains of Montana with her soldier grandpa. Frank ends up spirit bonding with her or whatever the fuck, so she joins the team to fill the role of the non-combat innocent waif figure and appeal to any potential lolly lovers in the audience. She doesn't really do anything plot-wise from that point forward except add dashes of innocence every now and then. You can literally see the character designer going over a checklist containing other anime stereotypes and designing each of the mains around simply filling a quota rather than actually creating a compelling individual. Let's discuss the elephant in the room for a minute too. Argento Soma is one of those shows that released in the wake of the wildly popular Evangelion, and it is in so many ways a direct Eva ripoff. It's got the angsty lead character, the unnecessary religious imagery, and it even has a plot twist during the final story arc where it turns out that, surprise, the mechas they are piloting are built out of the corpses of dead aliens. Sounding familiar? Argento Soma isn't even a good Evangelion look like Razafon or something. It really feels like Sunrise meekly shouting, "Me too!" at the hordes of Eva fans. The show ends with a bunch of nonsensical sci-fi talk and bright colors that results in Frank sacrificing himself and the aliens stopping their invasion. I've watched the ending sequence about 4 times now and I still can't conclusively tell you what's going on. However, the ending is still the one bright spot of Argento Soma. The show doesn't end along with the invasion.
That was sudden.
To my surprise, the final episode is an epilogue sequence that actually really works well. For example, when Ryu decided to change his name and infiltrate Funeral with Mr. X's help, after his cover is blown, you'd expect him to get off scot-free because, hey, it's an anime, right? They've gotten to know him, he was doing the right thing, they're his friends, and so on and so on. But no, Argento Soma actually takes the realistic route by court-martialing the fuck out of him and letting him rot in jail for a while. It was a refreshing experience to actually see this show be entertaining for a change. Of course, they couldn't leave well enough alone, and a terrible OVA was released, focusing on Sue as she's stuck in an ice hole. It's really not worth mentioning because it adds absolutely nothing to the show, just like the rest of the character shows that comprise about 2/3 of the episodes of this mess.
At the end of the day, Argento Soma exists. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. It's a real thing, and it takes on some kind of form in our world.
It really has no impact in any way, and it made no impact in the anime scene either. Argento Soma ran once on Japanese TV and was quickly forgotten, just like I'm going to quickly forget it after this review is over. What do you know? I can't even tell you what we were just talking about.
We got Salvador, we got Sharpie and Pooper. Jesus Christ, we got Scissor Me Timbers. Get Soviet out of here, too. We don't want no Soviets in here. This piece of crap sitting over here. Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Get them all out! Anyway, we got Maya Azreeks. We got FT Karma. We got Warshaw Pact. Who else is retweeting this? We're getting the retweets as we speak. We got Amanda. Screw you! Eat my poop bottom. That's disgusting, you son of a bitch. Goat loves wiener. Yeah, screw you, you asshole. Alpha Q hard. Screw you too, man. God damn.
Samurai pizza cat. Oh yeah!
Who do you call when you want some pepperoni?